Hi everybody and welcome to this tips, routes and suggestions video for the Winter Major 2022. We are playing a full 9 of the Nordic Fjords course. It's a course I know very well and I also like playing it as well. Before we get started, please do hit thumbs up on the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. Join us on Monday morning. First look at Rookie, Pro and Expert Division in the qualifying rounds. And keep your eyes peeled on the channel in the next couple of days because there will be some playthroughs as well to go through some replays and talk you through some adjustments as well. We are going to look at all 9 holes in turn here as we usually do on these videos with the overviews and suggested elevations for all divisions. Bear in mind these will need to be tweaked once we know what wind angles we're playing and what wind strengths we are dealing with as well. Here we go. Here we go then. Let's start by looking at hole number 1. We start with a par 4 here, and the aim really, if the wind permits, is going to be to getting close to or on the green. This is going to be a very important eagle. The white line is the most common. Bouncing on that little island, you're going to need plenty of topspin and a couple of bars of side spin to the right here if you have some curl on your driver. If you're playing rookie, you might want to use a side spin 3 ball. Could well be useful, especially if you've got wind going from right to left. So we're going to be bouncing on, using some curl, bouncing on that island and going over along the white arrow to near the green or on the green if you can. Either going to be a nice wedge or hopefully going to be putting. If you do have strong tailwind, the blue line there is suggesting going directly over it, so this is probably going to be Expert Division with a Titan ball, or Berserker maybe in Pro if we have enough wind push to get us over there. Obviously if you are going to bounce directly, just back off on the top spin, you won't need as much. The black line here is an option if you aren't feeling confident. If we do get headwind going towards the tee, you can play on the left, play it 10%, bounce over. That you won't really go long in the rough because that left-hand chunk of fairway at the tip of the arrow there, that slopes back downhill. So you will roll back down and then it will leave a second shot where I would play 10%. Bear in mind, if you are unfortunate enough to go into the sand or lay up short, if you don't fancy going at the pin directly, there is a very nice slope on the back right-hand side of the green as we look at the overview. And you can play a nice little roll down to the pin if you aren't in a position to go for the pin directly. But going to be a very good chance for an eagle if we get some crosswind or tailwind on hole number 1. The first of the par 3s now, hole number 2, what I know as the ski slope hole, because this is a massively downhill par 3. General elevation is 20% here. But to get a good roll, you really want to be bouncing where that blue cross is, hopefully from all of the 3 tees. So rookie, that is going to be with the long iron, unless you want to play sniper further down towards the start of the green. Pro and expert, definitely going to be using a sniper from here in all wind directions. And master, this is going to be a quarterback shot. All 3 tees, very good chance of a hole-in-one if you were bouncing on that point. We used to play bouncing nearer to the right-hand bunker, but the risk here is you're going to get an inconsistent roll. You could come up really short, or you could get that speed roll and shoot about 10 or 11 yards past the pin. So left side is the play. As far as I'm concerned, that's the route I'll be going. So 20% as the general rule for that one. Really good chance of a hole-in-one on hole number 2. On to the third then, and this is a par 5. Most common route here are the white arrows that are on the overview there, and that is bouncing on that middle bit of fairway with some topspin and some right spin, and you're going to need some curl as well to get onto that third piece of fairway, the one that's on the right hand side. So 10% extra. If you've got driver with curl, so rookies, you're going to be looking at quarterback. Pro and expert, the APOC is very useful here, although if you've got high level rock, that's got good accuracy and curl and ball guide as well. So leave room though for your curl. Don't set up too close to the rough. You will see a lot of people go into the water or the rough on this one. It's quite a precise drive to do, but that's going to set up a sniper shot with the second white arrow there. I put 0%, but in some of the stronger winds we have played that second shot 10% as well, bouncing directly over there and going up to the green for an eagle putt. Now there's some options here. If you get good tailwind, you could bounce where the red cross is. If you've got a driver with good backspin like the Thor's Hammer, that's very good. Power 3 ball from middle tee. Just bounce directly over there and then check the ball up to a good position for your second shot. The black line on the left, again you do need a wood club with distance, so Big Dog and Cataclysm, but even in headwind I'm tempted to go on the middle island because it's just a slightly easier second shot. But if you don't fancy that, play yourself with a safer drive out to the left. Hole 4 then is what I call the rollback shootout, and in tour play the idea is to get to the top right of the green. The ball will then roll down the slope back towards the pin, usually within 2 yards or 1.5 yards if you're lucky. Two routes here, and I've put 20% as the general elevation, but white line on the left I would play in all directions unless we have wind from right to left, crosswind or tailwind. So majority of times you're going to go from the island on the left with either some topspin or backspin. Definitely need some right spin and a good amount of right curl to get a good line to fall back down to the pin. The black line, same elevation here, but there you're probably going to need some backspin to check the ball up in time, get the second bounce around the fringe on the right for the ball to roll back down. That's the usual method we play in tour play. Going to be interesting really to try and get this one in for a hole-in-one. I don't think I've ever dropped hole-in-one on this hole going down the rollback method in tour play. Have been very, very close, but they are rare. So we may try and mix and match, try and go at the pin directly. I'm not sure whether there's some routes to be explored there. But, you know, choice of 2 islands to bounce off there, the left and the right, depending on the direction of the wind. On to the 5th now, another par 5. And this is going to be a tricky one, especially if we do get some headwind. The ideal route with tailwind and crosswind is the white line on the left, and that is bouncing over that fairway bunker. 10% extra, going to need some left spin, at least 2 bars of left spin, and if you got wind from left to right you may need a bit of counter curl as well. So what I would do here, pro and expert, I would set up max distance with a power 1 you can do here actually and bounce over with a bit of a push-up, or you can use power 3 ball as well. And the rookie's obviously going to be a little bit easier to bounce over there, but just make sure you don't go too long. Obviously if you do have tailwind it's not going to be a huge issue. You will still get near the green, however the idea is of course to stay on the fairway, to have a wood club at 0% up to the green. Put 0 as the general elevation. Sometimes I have done 5 though in strong crosswinds just to counter the secondary bounce wind effect. Be careful on your approach, do not come in too hot. You can catch a speed roll and go into the rough at the back of the green. If we do have headwind and you don't want to play aggressive with overpower on the left, then I would suggest use the black arrows on the right. Top spin, left spin and some left curl, get yourself far down as possible near the rough without risking it, which will then leave you a wood club for the second shot. If you are going with this route in headwind, I would advise you to pack a wood club with distance, Cataclysm or Big Dog, because you have got a fair amount of yardage to cover to get to the green into. Now we have a par 4 for hole number 6, and again you may see the odd ball go into the drink here. We've got a few routes to talk about. Let's talk about the white line first, and this is the route I would play in headwind. Just bouncing over there with a good amount of topspin, get yourself as far down that middle piece of fairway as possible, playing it 10% extra. From there you will hopefully have a long iron to the green. Very difficult to get an eagle from there. There is quite a bit of a wind push on the second shot. I've put 10% there, but sometimes I've played it 20 to be honest. If you have crosswind and obviously a hint of tailwind, the black line is a very common approach, and that is bouncing on that little middle strip and going with as much topspin as you can, right spin and some right curl, to get yourself hopefully over that rough island on the final piece of fairway, which will leave you a very, very nice attempt with the thorn for eagle. If you're playing in expert and master and we have good tailwind, then obviously the gold arrow there is the play, and that's going to be sending it straight over there directly onto the final piece of fairway, aiming to get yourself on or very, very close to the green. So a couple of challenging moments here on this hole, especially in certain wind angles, so you've got to plan your approach pretty carefully on hole 6. Hole number 7, final one of the par 3s. I've got 3 routes here. There is a 4th route which we'll touch on at the very end. Pro and expert, we've got a few options. The white arrow with the long iron bouncing over with some topspin and right spin. We've got the gold arrow playing directly near the green with backspin, so sniper or guardian of course. Let's not forget the guardian, as we aren't worrying about shootouts here. And then we've got the black line on the right, which is good for wind directions that go obviously from right to left. The shot that is not shown here, which has been attempted, admittedly not by myself, but I have seen it done very effectively, is actually a sand bump, and I think this is a really interesting shot for a hole-in-one, probably one of the best attempts if the wind allows. And that's going with a wood club with a load of topspin, aiming just at the top of the bunker in line with the pin, and then using the topspin to propel the ball out of the sand and very, very nicely towards the cup for a potential hole-in-one. Hole 8 then is another par 4, and another one where really we need to be aiming to get to the green in one if we can. If we do have headwind, the black line is the play, lay up on the left, and then so it's 10% on the drive there, and I would use a driver with good ball guide and accuracy in that case. That will then leave you either a minimum long iron or short iron if you get far down enough and the wind is not too strong, 0% to the green. If we do have crosswind or any form of tailwind, the white line is the play, but once again we have a fairway bunker to avoid, and a lot of people will end up getting themselves in the sand there. Bouncing over where the blue cross is, going to need some topspin, and you need to allow for the secondary bounce wind effect. So factor that in when you're looking at the second bounce and deciding how much topspin to use. And you're going to have to look at that obviously depending on the direction of the wind, but also the wind strength. But the idea is that you're going to bounce over, maybe double bounce over the sand and roll very nicely onto the green for a putt or very close to it for a wedge. There is another route shown here, and it's along the black line, but it's still going for green in a form of tailwind, which we have done. So rather than bouncing where the blue cross is, you just bounce where the tip of that first black arrow is. You can still apply topspin, and there's a very nice route there, and people use that as an alternative because it does, if you're careful with your setup, take out the fairway bunker from the line of approach. So there we go, hole number 8. Hopefully get some eagles on this one. And finally on to hole number 9, a very lengthy par 5 once again. The black line is going to be the route that I will take, even in headwind. I'm going to go 10% on the drive and as much topspin possible. If you have lower level drivers and you want to get some distance and don't mind spending a couple of premium balls, topspin boost might be useful here, especially from pro and expert, because this is quite a long drive that's needed. So gain as much distance as you can, 10% on the drive, and then you're going to have a sniper to the green, playing that 0, but obviously you may need to adapt in certain wind strengths and directions. White line on the right, I rarely play this route in tour play, I usually go left. However, if you don't fancy that narrow strip of fairway, especially if you've got to use overpower in headwind, you could play out to the right because the fairways are wider and a little bit more forgiving. If we do have headwind here though, I would suggest going with a wood club with distance. Once again, big dog or cataclysm, especially from the white route on the right hand side, to make sure you're going to get up to the green in 2 for an eagle. Difficult to claim an albatross on this one, the same really for most of these par 5s. You're just going to look for getting an eagle, and hopefully we can get some drops on the par 4s. 2 of those are going to be necessary. As I said, they are short par 4s.